very impactful pivot podcast. This is the way a podcast and what it's actually supposed to look like. Shouts out to the pivot because what they displayed was grown men having discussions and intelligent conversations and showed you what it looks like. Now, we don't have positive representation a lot when it comes to these podcasts with these younger individuals. And they don't realize that they mess up sponsorship money, they mess up revenue for other channels that try to come up because they've slopped up the industry to where everyone would assume that, well, your show seems like it's going to be more like this show. And it's like, but no, we're not. So before you even given the chance, most creators have to go through hell because these slop creators has come along and made a mockery of the whole industry. This guy said, I agree with everything Kwame says. My thing is, what has he said that I shouldn't agree with? A lot of the things he say, I agree with. The majority. But if he's ever said something that we disagree on, why should the focus be on what we disagree on? If we agree on 95% of the things, why don't we focus on the 95% that we agree on? And the 5% that we don't? Why would your focus go there? You're the prime example of what we're talking about. And that's why Kwame Brown is showing you by going on this Pivot podcast, this is how a man should conduct himself. This is how a young black man who's watching this should learn from and get some knowledge. Did you hear what he was speaking on? Didn't you hear how when he first came in there, how he diffused all of these stereotypes that was created before they even met him? They had never met this man and assumed he was crazy. And said, man, I thought you was crazy. I seen your videos when you were viral, and that's all they really knew of Kwame Brown. So people could paint a narrative of you by you expressing yourself. Yeah, my cleaning lady, she's late. She's never late. So oh, if I'm on the Pivot podcast, oh no, they don't want that. See, because the one thing that Kwame Brown spoke about on this show would have went a lot different if I was on this show. So they did the right thing. They got the right person on the show. Because if I was Kwame Brown, this thing would have been a 2-hour interview. Because I'd have burnt this whole thing to the ground. Because I would have started out, Gilbert Arenas would have him on next week. It would be that bad. I would have burnt Gilbert to the ground. Live on the Pivot podcast. You better not ever hope I get on one of them. Yeah, Kwame did it as a professional and did that. I would have gave him what they was asking for times 10. I'd be like, oh, I know what you want to hear. And guess what? You in for a show. Because I'm finna burn it down. So, but no, he did it the right way. He's like, I don't even want to talk about that guy. That guy, said he was gonna put a pistol to my throat. He basically said all he needed to say about him. It's like this guy is doing things behind the scenes to try to alter people's YouTube channels. He's trying to manipulate and ruin other people's career by using his influence because he doesn't have the talent that Kwame Brown has. He doesn't have all these tools. He's not as he doesn't have moral compass. In other words, I won't say he's dumb. He just doesn't have the moral compass that Kwame has. And what Kwame illustrated was that you can express yourself. You can have these conversations and you can talk about some of these things that need to be discussed. As you learned in this interview, where he was telling you about his past, the way the differences is from different states, how we treat each other. Like in the Midwest, like a lot of people didn't know he was in Michigan. A lot of people didn't, they were made fun of, and it was like probably a shock to the system to them the first time they've ever been made fun of. And I was like, man, I went through that at a and I couldn't believe it. Like I was like the king of the school where I left. I'm like, dude, I was like the king. I come here and spend the whole summer with them. We all cool. First day of school at the new school, they all hating on me. I'm like, what the hell? What part of the game is this? Like, this is not the norm. And I later found out this was all due to to women, the girls in class. The girls in class liked me from day one. I was the new guy. And boy, they turned on me immediately. I'm like, dude, y'all can have these hoes. I want to play sports and win. That was my thing. I'm like, look, I just want to get to the game. Crazy over these hoes, and then y'all can have them. My first day in the damn school. Well, we never learned how to to respectfully get along with one another and understand people's differences. We weren't taught. If it was something different, we made fun of it before we understood it. And those were some of the things that he was speaking on as far as his transition of growing up and how to handle the things that he was seeing as a 19-year-old kid. No one took that in consideration. He was only 18, 19 years old going into the NBA. And before that, he had a job while he was in high school. He was working, helping pay bills. As a young teenager, where he should be out running out on dates and doing all this, he's going to work. He got a job. A lot of people didn't know that. Before he went to the NBA, he was working. Had him a job, got him a 9 to 5. So what we try to do is keep things in perspective and try to give people they flowers. And the way he exposed people like Stephen A, who always tear down but never build up. You see, that's what I got from the interview. I don't understand why some of the other people who are watching it for the very first time, and definitely go to the Pivot podcast to check it out. That's one of the things that I've noticed the most. Why is it okay to start tearing down and not building up? For 20 years, Stephen A. Smith has torn down professional athletes who happen to be African American, never to build them up. He did it to Glenn Big Dog Robinson. He did it to Kwame Brown. He did it to Allen Iverson, who made his career, who made the transition for him to go from the journalist he was to television. You know, Scoop was supposed to have that job. Scoop was the guy, but he wasn't articulate enough for Scoop to be on television, they didn't think. But Scoop really was the guy. But he never got his props. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. Oh, F them people. It ain't my fault they can't drive. I didn't hit nobody. Well, no. He wants to know why these programs not being talked about. Why are these other things not being done? Listen here, clown. Let me tell you something. Let me address this clown that came over here to be a clown. Clown, nobody disrespected your father. Stop lying. You showed dead people, dead relatives, and put them in a thumbnail. No one ever shown your family. Nobody ever said nothing disrespectful about your father. We were speaking about you, crackhead, and you know it. And you chose to go disrespect dead people and then put them in thumbnails, not realizing that these people that you talking about are very close to you. They relative live very close to you. So I advise you stop playing. That's all I can tell you. Okay, keep playing games. You think that's everything the internet. All right. Yeah, he's a goofy. He thinks it's okay to play with dead relatives and stuff. People don't play like that. That's how you end up in the newspapers and on the internet. I'll be reading about him on the internet. I'll be reading about him on the internet. Don't worry. He can keep playing with it. Keep playing with it if you want to. I'll read about him on the internet. That's what crackheads do. They do anything for crack. And this is the same type of behavior that we talking about, supported by a weak man like Gilbert Arenas, a poor example of a human being. If I was on the Pivot podcast, I would have lit Gilbert on fire on that show. Kwame did the gentleman thing and took the high road and said, I don't want to make this, because if you do that, then you lose track of all the message and all the jewels that was spoken on the Pivot podcast. I thought he did a great show, and he showed great resolve in not making it about Gil. But I couldn't have helped myself. I'd have took my jacket off, and we would have went for 2 hours straight. I'd have lit that man on fire. Mm-hmm. I know. That dude should be going somewhere following some young Caucasian girls. What he's doing over here. That's his thing. Let him go do that. So we talking about real conversations, real jewels. He's nothing but a hack. Can't edit, can't do, he's just a pathetic human being. So he ain't getting no more attention from me because I don't need to be talking to detectives at 3, 4 in the morning. Don't even know who that is. Nobody does but Gilbert. That's one of Gilbert Arenas' little cronies. He liked to have men fly him out of town and treat him like a woman. So, oh no, Gilbert has actually flew this man out so that he could take pictures of Gilbert. Because he can't afford to do it on his own. So, I'm just saying, another man ain't finna put clothes on my back, fly me out. And Floyd Mayweather, I was like, look, I'm cool with Floyd. I didn't want him paying for me at the buffet, but he paid for everybody. It was already taken care of in advance. So I was just like, oh, okay, he paid for the whole like 60, 70 people. So I'm like, all right, well, we just finna eat. But I was like, I went and thanked him. I'm like, all right, thank you, bro. But I don't accept nothing from nobody. Like Floyd ain't never dressed me, but if I hung out with him like that, he would take you to the Gucci store, be like, "Hey, grab some stuff." I'd be like, "Nah, dog, I don't like let dudes dress me." Gil got put him on Adidas shirts, sent him some Adidas clothes, told him to drink this water. These dudes ain't nothing but tricks, man. That's why I'm like, I can't. I'm a man, so I can't. I don't understand that behavior. This is why people like him would think it's okay to put dead relatives on a screen, and after being told this is a bad idea, still do it. Still try to make fun of him, calling him the B word, and then trying to lie to act like, oh well, somebody mentioned my parents. I've never shown his parents, never said anything about his parents. His title said dance with my father. That was him. So no one even said his father's name or said anything derogatory about his father. It was all about him. He knows it. He's a liar. I took my video down because I know what's coming. And I'm not going to have any connection to it. So, congratulations to him. He's going to get what he wants, I guess, or what he's asking for. Well, when you play stupid, you get stupid rewards. This is why people should never do drugs. You know, that person's been arrested for drugs, um, got a criminal record for drugs. Don't don't surprise me. Probably still on drugs. These are the type of people that they try to get you to listen to. And that's why we got people like Kwame Brown, who's a great example and showed you, like, everyone who been misled by Stephen A. Smith and coming up with all of these different lies about, oh, Antonio Barnes, I don't know who you talking about. I don't ever disrespect people's dead relatives. That's not what I do, sir. So if that was directed to me, that's definitely not true. I have morals. I don't do that. I don't make fun of people's children. I don't do that stuff. Sorry. I'm talking about criminal George. Oh, okay, that's what I was saying. Couldn't be me. That's because you didn't listen, homie. I said I don't know if he did or didn't. We still don't know who did it. The neighbor house. What do you think? Think it's a joke? My neighbor house still is still messed up. What you talking about? That stuff just don't get fixed overnight. But you thought it was a joke? Why do you think that's there? And all that's there. All that stuff dumped in there. Come on. It's not a joke. Didn't Gilbert Arenas state that he once did that or had something to do with it? He said it's not a threat if it actually happened. All right? In his situation. And he named the guy and said, ask him what happened. When that guy's house got caught on fire and burnt down, then my neighbor's house get caught on fire, and I'm not supposed to assume that it's that guy. And that's what I said. Hey, Gil, if this is you, you got the wrong house. So we don't know if it was him or not. But what we do know is that they got the wrong house. If they were looking for me, they got the neighbors. Oh, so dope. I mean, like, dog, who used the word dope? We ain't heard dope since 1990, dog. It's like people beg for attention so much. They so phony. It's just like they don't understand that's why they don't go nowhere. Because their whole existence is to just talk about somebody and hate on them. So they don't have any content. They don't have anything to add. So nobody's going to sit down and do an interview with them. No one's going to ever do any of these things with these people. That's why. Yo, man, that girl's dope. Ooh. So I don't know these people, man. Let them go ahead and be the clowns they are, man. And they'll be exposed for who they are. Because their opinion is based on somebody else. Somebody else's opinion. They oh, this person hates, so let me hate too so I can get some views. They probably go on their podcast. That's he probably somebody that's on their chat room, just like, man, I'm in their chat. He let me up. This gonna help blow me up. No, it's not. You're gonna go nowhere. Sorry. Right, and who is he? I don't have to be cool to be a businessman. Where is it written down that I gotta be cool? If you don't think I'm cool, that's cool. Listen, this is why the Pivot Podcast, everybody should go watch that Pivot Podcast from beginning to end with Kwame on it. This is exactly the reason why. So it teaches you how to rise above all this toxic behavior that's been put out by people like Stephen A. Smith, who has been doing it and tearing down 19, 20-year-old kids who come from poverty, who comes from nothing. And that's the thing. He comes from that. He comes from that. Stephen A. Smith did not come brought up into a world of journalism. He don't have the journalistic family background like most of these guys. They didn't like him coming into the game. He was actually fired from his local newspaper. This guy, girlfriend dumped him because he was broke. Stephen A. Smith. Thought he was a joke. His mom's the only one who took care of him. His brother died. He was in the car. He was a salesman. They was in a van. It was a car accident. He's in the car with a whole bunch of white guys. Nobody died but his brother. The van flipped over, and the only person that died was his brother. He still questions that death to this day. And Stephen A. Smith comes from that and would start doing this to other brothers who come from the same struggle. That don't make any sense. Why was Stephen A. going to these colleges? Because he's bringing up the fact that he's affecting contracts. Who would want to give a contract to a guy that they consider to be a bust? What endorsement company will say, you know what, we want you to endorse our product? Do they understand that Kwame Brown got a key to the city of Brunswick not because he made it to the NBA? A lot of people be like, oh, they just gave him that because he made it to the NBA. That's not how you get a key to the city just because you make it to the NBA. You normally have to do something in the community. You normally have to do something in the city of Brunswick. You have to do something for your town, for the people, in order to get those type of accolades. No. They became the Pivot Podcast because they weren't going along with the go along, get along game. See, I Am Athlete was the go along, get along game. See, they started off doing the right thing. Then the money, they start waiving all these opportunities and all these deals. And then Chad Johnson and Brandon Marshall, they took the apple. And they said, oh, well, no, we ain't going with that. We finna pivot. And that's what they did. They pivoted away from that. And that's why the pivot is what it is. I'm over here. I didn't go with I Am Athlete. I watched I Am Athlete for these guys. Now, I used to like Brandon Marshall and all the rest of them, but they did get commercial. They did get very commercial. Because Gilbert, well, man, nobody cared because Gilbert was like, who cares what Gilbert was on? His only time that thing only did anything was when he talked about Kwame Brown. If you go there and watch it, we show it. You know how they say most replayed? The most replayed views of his whole interview is when he's talking about Kwame Brown because he has nothing interesting going on in his life. Just like these minions here now. See, when you're a clown, that's what you do. You do clown behavior. You know, it's just like a lot of these fools on the internet. They want somebody to come do something to them and hurt them. I'm sitting there begging my relatives not to hurt this man. You know, I don't want nobody to do it because then they come to me and be like, oh, this happened because da 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 da. Now I'm taking all that down before it all go down. So you're not finna come over here and advertise yourself. Sorry. You've lost your opportunity. I told you, you could have went back and forth, but you can keep it about me. But when you start talking about dead relatives, you going into some Tommy dummy type stuff. Now, you're gonna be yeah, we don't play like that. If you ain't good enough to talk about me, then you just ain't good enough, dog. Go get better. You can't keep it about me, then go. Right, you go get better. That's what you do. Right. So they made people think he was crazy and all of these different things, but that's not the that's not the tropes. See, the world was watching Kwame Brown. See, they trying to make you think that everybody stopped watching Kwame Brown. No, they just didn't know. They just trying to cut off the pipeline. Other people are blocking him, trying to, keep him away. He had burnt down the entire internet, not just YouTube. Because remember, he was on Facebook first. Then everybody else brought it to YouTube. Then he came to YouTube. He was already had a YouTube page, but his original rant was like on Facebook. Then he came over and brought it to YouTube. And it just blew up. And then Matt and Jack and all these other people. Yep, that's what they do. They're not worried about Kwame. What they worried about is the fact that Kwame is going to be bigger than them if he ever got in that position. Because Kwame is interesting. The haters pay attention to what he say. The people pay attention to what he say. They want to hear what he's gonna say next. Anything he say can be marketed. Mama's cooking. That's right there, marketing. Everything he says is something somebody could market. Could you think about Gilbert Arenas and think of anything that dude has done that's marketable? No. Absolutely not. All right, troll, you on timeout. Okay, if you can't add anything interesting into the chat, we're not going in here with just nonsense. See, this is what we talking about, fools. We don't have time for fools. We talking real stuff here. Gummy's kicking himself because he's an idiot. He let Uncle Sugar take his position and take his spot. Mm-hmm. Yep. He said, I couldn't believe Larry Holmes is listening to Kwame on YouTube. And he's like, yeah. Because a lot of people y'all don't know listen to Kwame because they've experienced the same things as Kwame. Being a professional athlete. Like he said, when he was had to learn how to deal with Michael Jordan, and just say, hey, I've dealt with grown men before. Like he had to grow up fast. Being in a house where, you got to help mama pay the bills at a very young age, that's going to grow you up. People have to realize that people's upbringing and how you was brought up end up molds you into the man you are today. All the jewels and knowledge and all of the advice that was poured into your brains when you was young, your experiences, everything you do going up, you ain't gonna do everything right. But what you're not going to do is repeat those. Some people go into the cycles of repeating. You learn from those experiences and say, all right, well, I ain't going to do that no more. And then you go, oh, okay, that's not working, so I'm not going to do that no more. So it's up to you to make those changes. It's up to you to say, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to become that. Exactly. 368,000 views right now. It was at 200,000 yesterday. When I told them the numbers way higher, oh, my cleaning lady's here. Some of you haters don't got.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. All right. So where you want to start?
Show me, please.
Upstairs,
Show
down?
me, please.
Oh yeah, this is your first time. Uh, well, no, they weren't quiet. I got a concussion. Okay, you can start here in this room.
Change. Okay. Oh, this
Bathroom, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bathroom. Here. This is fine. You can just do the floor.
This change.
Yep. Just make the right. And here you can straighten up the living room. Then the kitchen.
Bedroom.
No, just den and this bathroom here. Yeah, the laundromat spot. Yeah.
Okay.
All
I
right.
understand.
Okay. Ah. So, no, without a doubt. Yeah, I know. That's why the Pivot Podcast episode is on its way to 1 million views. I saw it yesterday. They was like, oh, it stopped at 30,000 because it's fake. It's 30,000. I'm like, it's 30,000. It's froze because it's so much traffic coming in. Y'all not seeing the real numbers. I know how to go track the real numbers. And the numbers was froze there. So I was like, this thing is over 200,000. Yeah, it should be because everyone in the world needs to watch that. See, all his haters are gonna watch it probably 3, 4, 5 times. If you notice, his haters are making videos about it. If you don't like the man so much, why are you out there commenting on all his videos? Because you really don't dislike him. You want to use him to try to build yourself up. See, that's the pathetic part. No, me and Kwame had a discussion because I sent him the link to Michael Beasley interview and how they handled that interview, the Pivot podcast. And I was saying, this the show you need to be on. And I didn't know that they were actually reaching out to him to be on the show. I didn't even know that. I had already reached out to them. I was like, man, this the show you need to be on, the Pivot. Because these people are the right people to sit down and have an interview with. These are the people that you need to be around. Outlaws addicted to gambling. They got an 800 number for you, Outlaw. I had to go out and win and get my money back yesterday. I'm still suing the NFL. That's no joke. The NFL's getting sued.
Okay, get killed. So
Did you know 30 million people watched that? The largest number for a playoff game, not the Super Bowl, since 1999. 30 million people watched that game. The NFL has set that game up for months. They knew the Cowboys was going to end up playing the Bucks in the playoffs. The way it was lined up, you knew it was going on and it was going to happen in Tampa. Trump country versus Trump country. They was really finna get down. So, no, suing them for the sabotage of the game. They fixed that game. You saw that from the beginning. They were letting the Dallas Cowboys get away with holding. The offensive line was holding 98 the entire game. They got roughing the passer for Dak Prescott when he got sacked to move them and advance them up because they weren't scoring when the game first started. No, 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 because see, Kwame Brown understands the dynamic of who he is and what he is. No, I don't go alone. See, that's because I don't follow any trends. I don't follow anybody else's line or anything. I don't do it. I stick to my own format. I stay on my own path. If I don't believe it, I don't go with it. That's just me. How the message gonna be lost? Trading and coding. That's something he stated. Which is true. They do need more trading and coding in schools. Is that not a true statement? Has he not supported Saginaw STEM, which supports what? Trading and coding. And it's a program that's worked and is working. So how could your message be, here, you ain't talking about trading and coding every day? Yeah, Jeff, it was amazing. It was an hour long. It was shorter than I thought it was going to be. But it leaves the door open for another visit. That's what's up, Jeff. Yeah, if you learn the code and do all that stuff, man, you'd be great. Shalom, brother. Yeah, we disagreed on something before. We had a discussion, though. I disagreed with this interview on something he said in this interview. I disagreed with what he did with Gilbert Arenas because I would have eviscerated that man. And we would have had a whole hour. We would have had a whole hour. You know, he took the high road. And it's like, man, I don't even want to talk about that guy, which was the right thing to do. But me, I would have started that interview off taking that dude's head off. Then I would have finished with kicking his head. He would have got all the smoke. This was the stage for him to get it. Then I would have ended it with one line. I'd be, are you allergic to penicillin? If no, then you could date Gil. And I'd have walked off. I'd be, are you allergic to penicillin? No? Then go ahead, you can date Gil. I'm out. Dropped the mic and walked out. Now, did I insinuate anything about the man? No. Did I say who the person was? Somebody named Gil. Gil could be anybody. It could be Johnny Gill. It could be any Gil. But the whole world knew what I'm talking about. Right, like he said, whatever that guy says, man. But he kept the focus right where it needed to be. Ask Stephen A about that. But I'd have burnt everybody. I'd have did a Tupac hit him up on everybody. That whole Pivot podcast, I'd have had to play I'd be put on that instrumental to hit him up. I don't think we got permission to play that. Then get it. Boom, 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 boom. LeBron James, F you too. I would have went off. West Side. I'd be like, they be like, you ain't from the West Side. It sound better. West Side, outlaw. Man, I'd have been out there wilding. Gilbert Arenas killer. Man, it'd have been on. It'd have been on. It'd have been on. That's why they better not have me on the show. I don't think I need to be on the Pivot Podcast. I think I need to be right here on the couch. All Gilbert knows about is basketball. And he really don't know that. Now, Gilbert is a better basketball player than LeBron as far as skill set, but he really don't know the game. He don't know how to get over the next hump. He know how to get his. There's been plenty of players like him. You know, Devin Booker. Another player that reminds me a lot of how Gilbert was. He knows how to get his. But does he know how to win and get you to the next level? So when I tell people Gilbert's better than LeBron, and I'm talking about skill set, post moves, footwork. They both was athletic. They both did, like, Gil changed a lot of things he did as a ball player. You know, as far as when he was in Golden State, he used to attack the basket a lot. And when he went to Washington, that was out the window. He was just like, I'm finna start pulling up, shooting jump shot. No, Gilbert is an example of what not to do in the NBA. Kwame Brown did, I mean, you might not like the way he played, but he had a very long, outstanding career. Players don't get 12 and 13 years. Do you realize he played more games in the NBA than Gilbert Arenas? Did you even know that? Why Gilbert was more of a dynamic player. And was considered a fast guy. Yeah, his job was to score, and he did that. But did the way he played hinder the team a lot? Yeah, it did. He wasn't a bring the team together type of guy. He was more divisive than anything. He'd rather take you to the strip club than take you to an NBA championship. Thinking NBA championship wasn't even his goal. You know, that's what I try to tell you. A lot of players don't think like that. They don't think championship. But the NBA never, you know, put an arm around Gilbert and walked him into the league like we're part of, like, we're supporting you. He wasn't the agenda of the league. LeBron was always the agenda. From high school, they's going to bring him in and he's going to be the new phenom of the league. They just needed him to work out. So he played his part, and I give LeBron credit for that. That's the best acting job he's ever done in life. Yeah, I blame Gilbert for Swaggy P's career turning out the way it is. Swag should still be in the league and would have still been in the league had he not had an influence around him like Gil. You know, I think hanging out with Gil just told him, oh, I can just be me and be wild and just do all this stuff. that ended up ultimately hurting his career. I mean, everybody got their vices. I'm just saying, he's somebody who really championed it and say, "Oh, you don't need this. Oh, you don't need that." That is funny that this video is this video right here is longer than the Pivot podcast. So it is what it is. Yeah, that's why we don't give them the time of day. We let them phase on out. They just want attention. You know, when a little baby want attention, they want you to pick them up, and you're like, nope, you're gonna sit down there. Ain't nobody finna pick you up no more. Oh, Vicky, that's not a problem because it's just that we real people, we real men, and that's very rare. You find that in the world, just people that's real men. You know, we don't sit there and act like immature children. Like we like I would think, he would think. I would never show a picture of his dead relative and try to make a point. Ain't no point in that. You want to show people's dead family members to try to make a point? You want to try to do all this stuff to make a point? Other people gonna make a point. You keep playing with people. It's just like these rappers. We keep telling them, like, man, stop talking about people that's deceased on your records, on your rap records, because nobody's gonna warn you. They just gonna come and take your life. You know, here in Chicago, we see it all the time. So, when you see somebody on the internet playing these games, it's retarded. We begged for this one guy not to do this. Up and coming rapper. I knew her, grew up with her, with his mom's brother. Grew up with his mom's in the projects. And, you know, her son was an inspiring rapper who decided they was gonna make fun of his crew and all of them. Supposedly had smoked some dude. He made a song talking about it, and at his birthday party, he got hit. So we tried to tell these young guys, like, this is not the way. This ain't the life. If somebody's dead, then the beef is over. And any war that has ever went on in this world, do you know they take breaks in war? For you to bury your dead? Then they start right back over again? Do you know they do that? They did that since the history of time. They would stop the battle and say, all right, collect your dead. And they would stop. They'd be walking by each other. They'd pick up their dead bodies like they weren't just trying to kill each other just seconds ago. And they go and bury their loved ones. And they all had their funerals, and then they go right back to the war. They got a certain period of time where they going to resume the war again. It's like they call a timeout. You're right. There's no more honor amongst men because people don't know honor no more. They don't know respect because they've never seen it. The people and the examples they had in their life, they probably never had that around them. So they think I could just do anything. And this is the kind of poison that DJ Academics put into the world. This is the kind of poison that other guy, that other clown who's trying to get attention by using this page for it, then the rest of those clowns, this is what they do. It's a one big look at me show. They never learned how to be men. They never saw real men conduct themselves. I was honored to have my grandfather and other men, real men, that taught us that ain't the way. You know, that ain't how you do it, young blood. You know, I had uncles around me, my Uncle Irv, you know, somebody, you know, they got wisdom. They know how to really put it down. Yeah, he's gotten bigger, but where could he go? That dude was in the basement of his house. Never met anybody in his life. Talking about all these stories. See, I know you. You can't fool me. You can fool the public. Can't fool me. I know you. We got you on the Patreon, buddy. The Casino for Life Patreon. See, that's when I get off and I get on these haters' head and start taking their head off when we get to that Patreon. Yeah, you get a different casino over there. Yeah, next week we're gonna release the part 3 of the Michael Jackson, the killing of Michael Jackson, part 3. That'll be out tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, next week. Actually, a week ago from probably now. Oh, the first 2 was explosive. Now, what else would they say, right? But that's what they do. But as I told you, we know these people. DJ Academic's bedroom on the Patreon. DJ Academic's bedroom. It's the Patreon, baby. See, we've been knowing this dude for 7 years. Well, it's all about who we like, right? But nobody calls out all this ignorance that goes on. Like everyone forget how the Brooklyn Nets treated Kyrie Irving. Now it's just we move on. Everything I said about LeBron has been true. Oh, the biggest secret ever. Michael Jordan's secret with his father that y'all didn't know. That his whole family is hiding. That's on the Patreon. Yep. Well, when you have a convicted criminal like, you know, Gilbert Arenas, who goes out and send threats and all of these different things, you have to take it seriously, because he's a convicted criminal. So that's what I do. I just take it seriously. I said, okay. Yesterday, we wanted to talk. I'm going to be in Bakersfield, California. So I said, I'm finna be in Bakersfield, California. We can meet up and talk. He told me, can't wait. So if you can't wait, we can meet. We can have a conversation. I don't know how far Bakersfield, California is from him, but I'm going to be in Bakersfield, California. So when I'm out there, he wants to talk, we can sit down and have a conversation. He's what Gilbert is convicted of? Well, you got to ask Gilbert Arenas what he's convicted of. But he's a convicted felon. You see, convicted felons don't do stuff like this. They don't promote stuff like Nihilus. You saying, who is Nihilus? That's a 10-year-old black girl making history by landing a major book distribution deal in hundreds of stores already. She's 10 years old, and she already has her own book published. And she's an entrepreneur from Rochester, Michigan. You see, they don't talk about stuff like this, but we got to because we're our own news. But this is what's on the Patreon. See, this is what we do. So when you see the Casino for Life Patreon, you know what time it is. You're going to get some information. But see, people like Gilbert, who has a platform, who could actually promote that kind of stuff, he doesn't want to do it because that ain't happening. He can care less, so. All I know is he's a convicted felon. You'll have to ask Gilbert Arenas what his actual charge is. Or it's probably online somewhere. You guys could look it up and see what he's actually was charged for. But Gilbert Arenas is a convicted felon. That's all I know. Right. Kwame has done more in the last year, 2 years, or however many years you want to add up. In the last 2 years, Kwame Brown has done more in shedding light on black businesses, highlighting and asking the questions about why aren't these things happening. He used his platform to open doors and opportunities for businesses. Go ask those companies that he highlighted on his page for free, by the way. Go ask them businesses, are they upset with Kwame Brown? No. And you talking about a man who don't do anything. And it's funny because it's the people that don't do anything for the community. They're always talking about people that's actually doing things in the community. Nick Young had a lot of potential to be a lot of good things. Nick Young could actually still play, but not now, but about a year ago when he was in the G League, like the year after he was out of the Golden State Warriors, after they won that championship, the next year he still could play. Like he was lighting it up. Like he put up like 50 or 60 on them dudes. It's like, dude, Nick Young could play. It wasn't that he couldn't play that got him out of the league. He's a party dude, man. He came back and had a 10-day contract, I think, with New Orleans or Dallas or somebody like that. And they was like, this dude ain't serious. He more into being swaggy P than a player that could help the team. Talking with Stephen A ain't gonna do anything for Kwame. He know like I know. Talking with Kwame is only gonna get you to wow, everybody's hitting me up right now. Well, talking with Kwame ain't gonna get Stephen A. Smith anything. Only thing that's gonna get him is uh, that helps Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, oh, we need to sit down and have a talk. Me and Kwame Brown. Then he gonna come in there, man, I'm sorry about 20 years ago, man. And then he gonna go right back to being Stephen A. So now he'll have the Kwame haters off his back. But meanwhile, he gonna still continuously do his same thing. He just be like, I'll never mention you again. But you notice he don't use Kwame Brown name no more. In the last 2 years, since that thing blew up in his face when he went and started showing highlights of Kwame Brown as a player, when that was never the issue. Kwame Brown being a player was never the issue. Kwame Brown was out of the league, and you still was going around for 20 years talking about Kwame Brown. I'll leave this out for her. All right. Yeah, so after that, he realized he thinking like, I ain't gonna do him no favor by mentioning Kwame. He don't need you to mention his name, Stephen A. But the thing is, you don't want to mention his name because you don't want no more of that smoke. That stuff backfired in your face. You thought that was gonna like finish him. And it didn't. So he saw what happened to Matt Barnes and Captain Jack. And Jack kept trying to fight back. Matt had to sit down, take a seat, because he couldn't fight that energy. So, oh yeah, that checking in the O Block crap, that really made him look like a fool. So now, I mean, he got to deal with that, but that's him. But I'm going to get out of here because I have a lot to cover from everybody else on here. We'll chat later. I'm out. And oh yeah, don't get those clowns no viewerships. Don't go to their page. Don't do none of that. Block them off. They thinking they finna come here and steal views? Nah, sorry. We ain't letting that happen. No support. Y'all cut off.